So here at the end of 2017, I really hope from the bottom of my heart that you have spent a Christmas time as nice and pleasant as I have with your family, and that 2017 has brought you everything you could have wished for. Happiness, the small things in life that really matter, a lot of beauty, music, and again everything you could have hoped for at the end of 2016. For me here, 2017 was an amazing year. It was a crazy year also, and it passed by with one snap of my fingers. If it wasn't here for that Christmas tree that is blinking here next to me, I actually couldn't believe that 2017 has come already to an end. So it's about time to look back on a crazy year, actually, on an amazing year. You might have noticed that Authentic Sound emerged a little bit from a YouTube channel where I share my work, my passion, my music, everything around that. You know what I'm doing on YouTube, to what in the future might be called maybe a small company. But all of that wouldn't be possible without actually two groups of people. In the first place, my family, my wife Anja, Sophie and Evelyn, my daughters. Just imagine one moment to live together with a guy like me, who stands up in the morning, thinks about music and the way he can share that, and goes to bed with the same thoughts. And in between is playing music, is doing some business stuff at his desk here in the same house, is making video, is planning all kinds of things, and all the family, everything is moving around that. I try to keep an eye on them as well, but it's wonderful the support that they gave me, and it really wouldn't be possible without them. If you see from time to time Sophie commenting on my YouTube videos, which I know you see, it's not me who is telling her what to do, what not to do. She's just following that. She's 12 now, and she's supportive in a way that for me is new. If she asked if a video has performed well, it's a kind of strange feeling that suddenly there is a young woman, actually, almost, that a few years ago as a child is just concerned about how things go with my work and things and my music. So it's actually wonderful to see that support also for Evelyn. If I ask her to pose for a photo for the Christmas video, she's all in and she is cooperative. And Anja, of course, you all know what she means for me and what she means for everything that we do here. It's amazing. She is an amazing woman, and without her, not even a percentage of what I would be able to do would be accomplished. So it's really, really, really time to thank them. And secondly, the second group that I have to thank at the end of 2017 is you. If it weren't for you, there would be no reason why to share all these things. If you wouldn't watch the videos, if you wouldn't click on the thumbnails I make, there was no reason for me to upload these videos, because it's done out of passion of sharing the beauty of the music as I see it and the things that I want to talk about with you. No matter if you are a year-long subscriber for Authentic Sound or just joined our channel, our community here on YouTube, if you are an occasional viewer or if you are a regular viewer, if you are a patron or if you are not a patron, for me every view, every click on a video is not a number, but is actually a real person there behind the camera, behind the lens, that shares some interest, some belief almost in what I'm doing and what I'm sharing, and is interested in consuming is a wrong word, but it's interesting in what I'm doing. And without that, all of this wouldn't have any meaning at all. So thank you for that. You changed my life. I've said it a lot of times, but I will repeat it in the future again and again, because it's really true. Also, the channel Authentic Sound has known a crazy year, actually, with a lot of changes. Remember still that we started in January with a live recording of the Bach partitas, the recording that would go on CD and vinyl and still will go on CD and vinyl. The recording of those Bach partitas actually set everything we do, I do on the channel, but also around the channel, to another level. I'm really happy that we started this year like that. Then we moved on to the introduction of the monthly projects. If you remember still, we had Mozart 2 months, Munich sonatas. We recorded all 6 of them. I had a lot of videos talking about the context of the Mozart period of that time, the young Mozart, and also the performance practice of how I see that with that music. We passed along the year to May and June with Beethoven, Opus 14. Opus 14 number 1 and 2 were recorded in those 2 months. Again, with a lot of videos on the performance and the context of those time. Was wonderful months to do for me. And then we came to the summer, where I really went crazy in my mind by making daily videos. We had 60 videos in the summer months. Was a wonderful experience. Actually, I've learned a lot by just doing that, because that's the only way you can learn to make videos, I believe, is just doing it. In those months, we started with the Wohltemperiertes Klavier, did 1 to 8. That ended in the live stream that we had in the chapel, in the 16th century Hoxton Chapel here. Was a live concert with 70 people, live broadcasted on YouTube, and we reached in that hour 300 people, which was an amazing record. We even got a message from YouTube what happened with the channel. Something that was decided very, very quick, sent out one message through the email list, and we had over 670 people here in that chapel. Then we moved to September, and actually the channel as we know it today was shaped. We left the projects, we again skipped to random music pieces which I actually like, and you asked me for that. A lot of you asked me for that, to leave the monthly projects behind and just have you surprised with the next music videos. And then on Wednesday we have some videos where I share some thoughts, some ideas, some reflections on anything related to the music, the context of the time, or the project that we're doing, like the studio. That will be a major project for 2018 for perhaps, but that's for another video. And then on Friday, I introduced the inspiration video, so to say, where I share elements of parts of my final collection or CD collection of just a documentary that I found on the World Wide Web that I found of interest of sharing with you, and that we can learn something from. So these little introductions that I make for you on these recordings of these documentaries, of course, they require work, but it's always like this on YouTube, that the work you put in, you get back. Not only by the nature of being able to share that with you, which on its own is very rewarding, but diving into the history of these recordings of these musicians that I know from a distance, but now I've learned to know in detail their personalities, their connections. It's really wonderful for me to see how that landscape of recording and performance practice actually developed, and it puts my own work in a great perspective. And that's important to not only keep both of our 2 feet on the ground, but see that everything we do will once be something of the past, and that only that element of looking back and seeing another musician doing something, playing music that you're playing or I'm playing, doing it differently, discover the beauty, because all those recordings, they have something that is really a unity, certainly of the big names. You learn a lot from that. I learn a lot from that. So that series will certainly be continued, and I know you like that. So I'm looking back again to January. There was another major event, not only the Bach partitas, the recording of those, but also Anja and I decided to join the Videolapse course with Tim Schmoyer in the United States, obviously online. We met with 20 other YouTube creators 10 weeks every week, and we had a lot of assignments to do. And Tim Schmoyer is one of the most experienced YouTube experts out there. And more than that, he's a very nice guy with his 2 feet on the ground. It's not saying that, there are a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of people say it's amazing and it's great, and YouTube and Google and the world is on your feet because you can reach everybody and just do it and go for it. That's of course not something that will keep you doing this for years as we are doing this now. He is somebody who understands the nature of YouTube as not only a platform where you can have an impact on other people's life. That's his target. It's his value proposition, which is basically everybody's value proposition here on YouTube. Why are we doing this? We are doing this not for our egos. I can tell you, if you do that just for yourself, you will not be able to upload 550 videos as I have done now and make 140 music recordings. It's so much work. It's way too much work to do that for your own. But if you see the feedback, if you see that that you make an impact, that you can share beauty, that you can make people maybe even happy for a few times, that's essentially, basically what a musician, what an artist is driving, is just this urge to share what he or she sees in his art with others. So if that drives you, then he took this idea with those creators who joined that Videolapse, how you can continue doing this, but at the same time, not forgetting that to make this all sustainable, you have to develop a kind of business model around that, because otherwise it's not possible. And that might sound a little bit as remoted from the central idea of just sharing things on YouTube. But it's not so far from that, because again, in order to make this possible on long term, we have to find elements, we have to find a mechanism that works, that Authentic Sound actually becomes a kind of company. That's something we learned with Tim Schmoyer, and that changed everything, how we thought and how we think today on Authentic Sound, not only as a YouTube channel, but also as a young company. One of the first things you might have noticed is the introduction of my online course on basic keyboard techniques. It was a direct idea from Tim Schmoyer. It was tested by over 40 people. Also, that was a surprise for me, just sending out one email. The response was huge. And even afterwards, I'm not complaining how that online course performs still today. So, and last thing, again, also in January of this year, what happened was that Lorenz Guardian came to pay us a visit, as he does mostly every year. And you know, Lorenz Guardian, he's the author of Takt und Pendelschlag. He's maybe the most experienced person on this planet talking on pendulum and metronome indications, which for me is very important, always was, but I always hesitated to talk about that because it's something in our time, maybe more than 20 years ago, but 20 years ago it was impossible to talk about metronome numbers. If you talked about a metronome number that could have inspired you, then people were saying, well, you're not a musician, because if you don't feel that from yourself, then why grabbing those Beethoven numbers if you don't have your own? But for me, it has always been about a musicology fact. I mean, metronome numbers are the most important historical musical facts that we have. They're way above any other source because we cannot manipulate them. And Lorenz is working for years on understanding all of that in the context of the time, which is huge. It's not easy. And so we have regular chats, but I never shared that with you on YouTube until that famous ping pong video. You know, I made that in January here with him, that interview, where I also played fragments of the Waldstein Sonata, and later I recorded the Waldstein Sonata. Actually, in that video, everything is presented that you have to know. And surprisingly, what didn't surprise me was that the content of that video was kind of fiercely rejected on the Historical Informed Facebook group. I learned a lot by that, and I don't mind. It's all about sharing and about learning and see opportunities and see ways how you can share things, because if people feel objected to something, then the message is wrong, or the package of the message is wrong. So I learned a lot from that. But what surprised me is that video took off rather big for our channel. Of course, it dies like every video except the music videos. But from September, October, from this year on, YouTube, for a reason I cannot understand, I don't know, picked that video up and started sharing that video. It's 100% suggested video now, which is amazingly high in YouTube statistics, meaning that YouTube is sharing that video with everybody who the algorithm, who the computer, that YouTube is a computer, feels that it might be of interest to that person. So you have then those videos at your right side. And probably you have seen that already also. And it spiked in a way that is remarkable. In 1 month, that video, that interview with Lorenz, outperformed any other video on the channel, including the the Beethoven Pathétique, also the Bach Partitas, which is now the most popular music video, Mozart alla Turca, it doubled it. Also, the thumbs up for that video is outperforming amazingly much a thumbs down. And so, yes, I hear that message. I think time is right to continue that, and that's what we're going to do with the channel. It might be actually that tempo research combined with the piano that's coming and Beethoven, because then if I come to play Beethoven on my pianoforte, the differences in tempo choice will become even bigger than when I play Beethoven or Mozart on my clavichord. So there will be a need for a theoretical backup for what I'm doing, and that's an opportunity as well, and maybe the biggest one for Authentic Sound. That's that label reconstructed original tempi. And if people don't like that, that's okay. But I feel, looking now on the channel, that a lot of people are waiting for that. And not only that, video spiked, the whole channel actually last 2 months doubled in viewers, in subscribers that join Authentic Sound, and also in watch time. So I'm really happy, man, here sitting for you at the end of 2017, and for sure we will continue with doing that, because you drive me to do that. So thank you all for being here on the platform, for reaching out to me in the comment section or in the chat and the live streams. That certainly will come back, but I had to take a break. And I'm looking forward to talking virtually with you a lot of times in 2018. Have a nice ending of the year, and we see each other very soon again. Bye.